our behind the scenes of our New Balance shoot.
I've seen sketchy rigs, but that is something else.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cut.
Yo, what's good, guys? I hope you are having a good day so far. If not, I'm going to try my best in this video to improve that. But today we're going to be going through the behind the scenes of my first proper spec project, which was the New Balance campaign that I created last week. Yeah, I have it linked somewhere below, or yeah. And this video will make a lot more sense if you've watched that already. So if you haven't watched that, just click pause on this, go watch that, and then come back. And I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, cool. So as I said, we're going to be breaking down pretty much everything that created that ad. So I'm going to go through the gear, the music, the shot selection, what I learned from it, what went wrong, what went right, pretty much everything. So I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to break this video up into different chapters, so there will be timestamps below if you do want to skip to a certain section. But first we're going to start with the concept and pre-production. So similarly to a bunch of other content creators, filmmakers, videographers, whatever, who also watch Danny Gewurtz's YouTube channel, I use Milanote for pre-production. Why? Just because it's just the best, really. Like, it's just so easy, so simple, gets the job done. But it's not me bigging up Milanote, even though they are very good. They're just what I used for pre-production. So I'll share my screen now just to show you kind of what the pre-production on Milanote looked like, just so you get a rough idea of how I was going into the shoot before I shot it. So this is kind of the home page and main hub of where I done all of my pre-production. I done it quite simply, as it wasn't that big of a shoot, so I didn't really need to do loads and loads of tabs, different pages, but this is roughly how it started. So I had a very rough storyline, the base of what was going on, bit of uniform here, the type of shots I wanted to get in certain things, the main kind of brief of the shoot, like what the shoot was trying to portray, the different gear here, and that's pretty much it for that kind of main base. We go into it here and we have the kind of storyboard of all the different shots that I was looking to get. So as you can see, a lot of the shots that were in the actual advert or commercial, they were here. It's like the top down drone shot inspired from this shot, this kind of still here, just getting that. So I just had a lot of references, so when I did get onto shoot, when I got onto the different locations, I wasn't scrambling for, oh, should I try this shot, should I get this shot? I pretty much had a very clear idea of what it is I wanted to do. So the main point and concept of this commercial was to simply show how comfortable and how versatile the 530 New Balance trainer is to wear. So just showing the different scenes, so the hiking, the cycling, the running, the commuting, and kind of going out for a night out, the different times and different scenes and different points in your life where you can wear the shoe, just showing how versatile it is. So if we get into the equipment that was used, everything was filmed on the Sony FX3, which I'm shooting on right now. The only shot that wasn't was obviously the drone shot from the top down at the very beginning. 95% of the shoot was shot with the 35mm 1.4 prime lens, and the only two shots that were on another lens, which is the Tamron 17-28, where I wanted a really wide shot. So that was the walking shot, again in the first scene, the third shot of the whole thing, I believe, and the POV shot on the bike. So that was the main core camera package, and then along with that, for most of the moving shots that you see, so for the running, hiking, and the cycling scene, that was all filmed with the Ronin M gimbal, the one from donkey's years back, which still works flawlessly. And with the running and cycling scene, to be able to keep up and keep everything well framed, I was also using my one wheel just to, one, increase stabilization so you don't get the shake of me kind of my shoulders going up and down from running to keep up, and two, yeah, it's just a bit easier than running. And then pretty much everything was filmed with natural daylight, or the night scene, which was filmed with obviously the street lights, apart from inside the apartment where I used two Nanlite Pabo tubes, and that I did have to Hollywood one of them just because there wasn't anywhere to put it, and yeah, I just wanted a general feel in the room. So I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. If it works, it works. Yeah. And the Gorilla Pod, can't forget that one, because the POV shot on when I was riding the bike, that was created with the FX3 kind of straps to her chest to get that POV angle. Now, to create that shot was not the easiest. You know, when people are doing that in real life, in like the kind of big higher up sets, they have the proper rigs, you know, whether it's a helmet or the actual chest mount. They don't just use what I did, which is a camera strap and a Gorilla Pod for that extra support to keep it upright. I mean, end of the day, if you get the shot, you get the shot. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it because it wasn't the one that wasn't most sturdy, and it wasn't the most secure. We just literally double wrapped the camera strap around her neck just to give that support, give that security from the top halves. And usually a camera on a camera strap is fairly secure as long as you aren't doing anything too rigorous with it. And then we used the GorillaPod under just to kind of keep it upright, so the camera wasn't just tilting down. Next, if we move on to one of the parts that I enjoy most of post-production, which was color grading. This was all used using my LUTs that I do have linked down below. Kind of a shameless plug, but I didn't really have to do much color grading. I literally put on the LUT, changed a few things where I wanted the colors to mute down a bit more, but that's pretty much it. Slapped it on, it was done in about 2 minutes. Now, going into the process of this, I understood that most commercials are only 20 to 40 seconds long, and I have a lot of content that I want to pack into this commercial. So I knew from the beginning this was going to be quite a long commercial. For a minute and a half, that's quite a long time when you think about it, because most ads are what, 20 to 40 seconds long, you know, the ones in between shows on a TV or before a YouTube video, maybe on social media. A lot of the time they are even less than that. It could be 10 to 30 seconds long. Like, they aren't very long at all. So because of that, I still made the decision to go with the longer formed advert. Why? Well, one, it's not really for anyone other than myself. You know, it's not for New Balance, it's not going anywhere, it's not going on TV. Two, it's just for me. Like, it's for my kind of portfolio spec project for me to learn from, and kind of, yeah, as I said, for me. So I didn't really see a point in just making something really, really small. Even though from this, I could make a shorter version from it. But again, this was something for me to practice. So I knew from the beginning that this was going to be a bit longer of a commercial. Day 2, need a bike. So if we go right back to the beginning and dive into the process of how I managed to come up with the idea and curate all of the different scenes, well, it all started with just thinking, okay, what does a brand want to show that their shoe or their product can do? So I took an example of New Balances that my girlfriend really liked. It's New Balances 530s, and okay, what would a brand want to show that these New Balances can do? Well, New Balances, they're very popular for being versatile, they're very comfortable, they're for all people. So I thought, okay, let's kind of go into the kind of category of versatility and comfort. So once I got that, I kind of thought of the concept of anytime, anywhere, being able to wear them in pretty much any situation. Now, once I got that, I kind of had to understand, okay, what are the different things that people do in life that's contrasting, but every standard person would do? So that's just pretty much work, exercise, and hobbies. They were the main key things that I wanted to stick to. So once I had work, initially I was thinking, okay, let's try get an office or some sort of like working environment, but doing that proved to be a lot more difficult and not quite feasible. So for me, commuting was the next best thing. Then exercise, we had the running and cycling because they're probably the easiest to film. And what was the last? Hobbies. So we got what could we do for fun? So two contrasting things there were going on a night out and going on a walk in a forest or hiking. So once I had those 5 main key concepts, that's what I ran with, and I just broke those down further of how can I get the shots to kind of sell that you can wear your New Balances comfortably in each of these situations. And I also wanted to kind of have a full circle moment within the scene. So when you get from the beginning to the end, you know, you have that same shot of walking, that on the close up, the tight shot of the foot stepping at the beginning in the leaves, and then also at the end when stepping onto the road. And the final part of that process was just breaking down each scene. So when it came to time to actually shoot that scene, I knew exactly what I was doing, which does kind of throw me onto my next point, which is what I learned from shooting the spec ad. One thing that I did learn, which when you think about it is quite obvious, but you don't realize it until you're right on set and actually doing these things, is how different it is to your standard videography or just your freelance work when you just turn up to a shoot and shoot what's there, go and edit that, make something in the edit. Where when you're making something in pre-production, there's a lot more stress involved. Even though that sounds weird because you planned it more, there should be less stress, but it's almost like, okay, I need to recreate these shots exactly. And because you've now visualized this so much in your head beforehand, you know exactly what it is you're trying to get. So that kind of whole perfectionism thing kind of comes out when you're trying to recreate exactly what you have in your head. Whereas when you just turn up to a shoot and you just shoot what's there, you create something in the edit that's easier, but it's not as challenging, it's not as fun. So I much prefer this style when you are kind of making the edit before you even started recording in your camera. And the second thing that I learned from this was actually in the edit, where I initially had this at around like 3 minutes long for everything, because I just wanted to get every single good shot that I had inside the video. And at the end of the day, you can't do that. Yeah, it's nice throwing a good shots, letting everyone see the kind of work and what you've created. But at the end of the day, it's a video to portray a product, it's to portray a story. So it's not there to see what are the best shots I can make, it's how can I tell a story. So I had to cut it down a lot just by, and it wasn't really difficult. All I had to do is just get rid of some of the clips that weren't telling the story, weren't adding to the story. But I just, I wanted to get the nice shots in. I wanted to get every single shot in. So that was where I learned a lot, just like what the saying is, what, kill your darlings or something like that, where you just get rid of the things that aren't adding to the story. Yes, it's something you personally are like kind of linked with, you really like it, but if it's not adding to the story, there's no point keeping it in there. Pretty sure everyone on set experiences this, but there are a lot of things that go wrong while you're shooting. Things you don't expect. When you watch the video, it looks great, it looks glamorous, you see everything that looks cool and it's all working and fitting, but a lot went wrong. There's a lot of things that went wrong. Firstly, we really shouldn't have done the hiking scene in kind of the mud on the first day when you need the shoe clean. That didn't make sense, because walking in a park where there were a lot of dogs walking through, so we did have to keep stopping and starting. And of course, Annie managed to step in some dog poo. Not her fault, we didn't see it, we were walking up and down a couple times, and yeah, that wasn't fun, that wasn't the best. So after the first day of the first shoot, the shoes are already really dirty, so we're thinking, how are we going to shoot the rest? Like, we don't have time to buy new ones and order them, because they were pretty much out of stock everywhere, especially in her size. So we were like, we're stumped, how are we going to do this? We tried cleaning it. When we tried to clean it, the shoe got worse. As we're scrubbing, it kind of went onto the mesh, and it was just like, yeah, this is the write-off, everything's going wrong. I was getting stressed out because I'm thinking, well, crap, like, I've made all this time and effort setting days aside, pre-production, everything, we can't even do it. Ended up chucking the shoes in the washing machine. They came out fine, luckily. That bullet was avoided. And then another issue that we faced is something that easily could have been solved if we just did a little bit of location scouting, which was when we got to Hyde Park, which is just a massive park in central London, somewhere I've been loads of times. We realized there's certain areas in the park that you can't cycle. Oh, well, that's an issue.
That's why we need our shop.
That's where I want to
Maybe we
go.
can find look round there, maybe there'll be a little thing there.
No cycling. But this is a perfect path in the middle.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not.
No, I had no idea about that rule. One, because I've never cycled around there, and two, it's a park. You can just cycle inside a park, but there's certain pathways in that park that you can't cycle. So where I actually wanted to film was on this really long path that goes across the middle, because I wanted to get in this kind of whole shoot in across the ad a lot of really wide shots with kind of Annie in the center frame, center framing with really wide shots, just like you saw in the first scene of her walking across. I wanted to get quite a lot of those in pretty much in every scene, just have a really wide shot of that, and I wasn't able to do it in the way I wanted to in the cycling one, because I wanted to go in the kind of open pathway that you can see here, just so I can get a lot of space, not a lot of people, not a lot of trees, just so Annie's the main focus in the whole thing with not that much distraction. Now, when we got to the park, on the pathway in that part of the area, in that part of the park, no cyclists. This confused me because I've been to this park loads of times. I haven't cycled there, but just when you've been somewhere so many times, you don't think about it in the same way you would when you're trying to film there. So yeah, that kind of didn't necessarily ruin it, but it did kind of mess up something, the idea I did have in my head. But yeah, that's just, again, something I would learn for next time, or I have learned for next time, is to always make sure you do location scouting when you're going to go, and not just look at it in a way of you going there as a pedestrian, as a normal person going there, but look at it in the way of you filming there. And the very last thing that I want to go over today is just the importance of doing spec project and practice work. The first and most obvious reason for doing spec work is just, getting something in your portfolio, having more things inside your portfolio. And more times than not, if you are doing spec work that you enjoy, it's going to be kind of more specifying your spec work and your portfolio to more work that you want to do. Because the mistake that a lot of videographers make, and the mistakes I was making, was putting the work that I've made for clients in my portfolio, which is great, but a lot of the time when you're first starting out, the work that you're doing isn't the work that you want to continue doing. So you have to start to create the work that you want to do to be able to get hired for that work you want to do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that makes sense. So if I want to make these type of commercials with trainers, for example, doing this New Balance shoot is ideal. Whereas if I'm doing a promo video for someone else, just, you know, doing something just to get a bit of money so I can buy more gear or whatever it is, that's not necessarily something you want to keep in your portfolio, because the people that see that are going to think, okay, well, if this is what he does, we don't want to hire him. Or in the other case, oh, this is what he does, so we'll hire him for doing that. But that may not be what you want to do. But how is anyone going to know that? Because that's all that you put out. Secondly, which is the main reason that I created the spec ad, was just to challenge myself. That's literally it. How can I challenge myself and do something, create something that I've never done before? You know, doing it with this much pre-production, doing it all on my own in the different locations, sound design, storyboarding, color grading it all together, creating a whole commercial, a whole project by myself. Now, obviously, there's loads of things that I would improve in this, but I've learned a lot just from doing this. I've managed to, you know, challenge myself and actually succeed in something that I put my mind to do. But yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents on why I do think spec work and, you know, these kind of practice shoots are quite important. So I do encourage you to do the same. You know, whatever it is you have in your head, whatever concept you can think of, just put yourself out there and create it. You know, storyboard it up, do something, and yeah, just create. But I'm pretty sure that is everything I wanted to cover. Before I do finish though, I want to give a shout out to Annie, because she kind of endured through this whole thing of the constant retakes of every shot, the running, the cycling, the hiking in the cold, the walking around in the cold. Like, yeah, she just kind of affirmed everything was amazing throughout. So shout out to Annie. Her channel and Instagram is linked below, so go show her some love. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have got a lesson, laugh, or a light bulb moment from this video, I would really appreciate if you drop a like down below. If you're feeling extra nice, you could hit that subscribe button. But that is pretty much all from me, so I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
You can't just stop.
I didn't know you were in the bike lane.